everyone, and welcome back to Noona's Noonchi, where I do a deep dive into some of your favorite K-dramas from a mental health perspective. I want to talk about several K-dramas really because the theme today is parent-child relationships. Child, take it loosely, I don't mean child, I do mean child, but I also mean adult children of older parents, kind of like myself. First, let's talk about Mr. Sunshine, one of my all-time faves. 2018 historical drama, beautiful, beautiful story, characters, powerful characters. We're talking about early 1900s. I love the heroine, the female protagonist, Lady Ishin, noble woman, but she becomes a fighter. Episode 2, the grandfather, so again, she's a noble woman, so they're pretty high in social status. Someone in the family told on her that she was reading these newspapers because back then women are not supposed to be educated. He got very upset with her and forbid her, basically said, hey, just get married, be like a flower in a garden, something like that. Back then that's what it all was about, marry well and just be this pretty lady and that's it. But she didn't want that. She was like, I want to fight for my country. I'd rather die. Basically, she go, I'd rather die than get married. He's like, okay, then die. Now, if you're watching that, pretty harsh, depending on how you want to look at it. But as viewers, we see a following scene. He locks her up, okay? The scene afterwards where he actually gets a trained shooter and talks to the trained shooter. And this is where I think it's powerful. And this is what I'm trying to get at, kids. What your parents may say to you, you can take it at face value. But there is always meaning behind what they're really saying. This is where I want you, kids, no matter how old you are, to understand the skill of reflective listening as well. We're not trying to listen to our parents, right? You're thinking parents are trying to get you to listen, but you also need to listen to your parents. It works both ways to get what you both want, which is happiness in the family, right? To resolve a conflict, manage a conflict. In this particular scene, he talks to the trained shooter and he says, if I can't, she's not going to listen to me. And I'd rather her not be this trained fighter, but I also don't want her to die. I want her to survive this and I want her to be happy, is what he's saying. He didn't use the word happy, but that's what he means. You see that in the emotions that kids don't tend to see because parents don't always show that to their kids, right? But behind the scene, kids, your parents are full of emotions, okay? They're human and they're normal, but they're not going to show you that because they're trying to make a point. There's a lot of conflict, battles, and wartime going on during this time, right? So they're fighting Chosun is fighting for its freedom, its country, and she wants to be part of that. She wants to be on the front lines. So he decides to align with her and gets her trained. I think that's great. Parents, if you're watching this and you're grappling with and you're telling your kids one thing because you disagree with it, I understand that. But do you want them to survive? Do you want them to be successful? Do you want them to be happy and healthy? Which at the end of the day, I know that's what you want. So how can you figure out a way to align with your kids? So that's Mr. Sunshine. Love that example. Now for another example, Reply 1988. Yep, one of my other all-time faves. By the way, Mr. Sunshine, Reply 1988, one of the top 10 dramas of all time. Just saying. So Reply 1988, done in 2016. Tech's dad, episode 13, Tech's dad, the Paduk champion, finds out that there's a plane crash. Now this is a plane that he thought Tech was on. It turns out that Tech was not on that. But meanwhile, you see as the viewer him freaking out. I'm talking, he's flipping out. Now, Tech's dad, his personality and character has always been very even-keeled. In fact, the other parents would make fun of him going, yeah, he doesn't show any emotions. He's all calm, cool, collected, right? And that's what Tech also sees of his dad. But you see Tech's dad, I'm talking flipping out, okay? Trying to figure out a way to reach his son who's in China, who's safe and sound, but he doesn't know that. And Sonu's mom help Tech's dad during that scene. So they get to see him and they're a little surprised, but they're like frantic as well because they think he's also dead, that Tech's also on that plane. So he's trying to find information, breaking down a drawer. I mean, you're like, oh my gosh, seeing him, really good acting, by the way, freaking out, almost cutting his hand open to try and open this lock that's locked shut, Tech's drawer locked shut. And then he gets the information and calls. Now, Tech's manager picks up and Tech's dad's freaking out to the manager going, is my son safe? Blah, blah, blah. And then Tech's manager's like, yes, he's safe. He's like, you're sure? I mean, I'm talking, you're seeing this. Why am I sharing this, folks? Because again, you may see a calm, collected, stoic father, mother, grandparent, whatever that is. Yes, that is in our culture, right? Not to show emotions, suppressing that. That's perhaps what you see, but perhaps behind the scenes, they're not like that at all. They're grappling, freaking out, flipping out. I want you to look at that episode 13, and then episode 2 of Mr. Sunshine. Here's the clincher. Tech gets on the phone with his dad and calls him. Tech's dad's calm, cool, oh, good, you arrived safely, you're all good, all ready to go for your game? Well, that's nice. Okay, make sure you sleep well and take good care of yourself and eat well. Okay, bye-bye. Yeah, that's perhaps what your parents are telling you. Very cool, collected, almost cold. Yeah, you're eating well, doing well in school, good, getting straight A's, good job, okay. But perhaps behind the scene, your parents are like, oh my gosh, worried, sick, my college kid, I hope he's safe, I hope he's doing well, I hope she's doing this. Why I relate to that? Because I try to not show that emotion to my kids, right? Getting straight A's, doing this, texting them. Actually, we don't really talk as much anymore. Texting them, making sure they're doing their job, all this stuff. But meanwhile, behind the scenes, we're worrying. Oh, okay, I hope they really are eating well. Maybe I need to send them food, right? We worry for our kids, right, parents and kids? I want you to understand that. Just see that scene and understand that Tech had no idea his dad had been flipping out until the manager said, when Tech's like, yeah, I talked to my dad, it's all good. And Tech's manager's like, what? Your dad was all good to you? Because he was flipping out a few minutes before. He thought you were dead because he thought you were on that plane crash. And you see Tech's face. Like, what? My dad? Flipping out? Sonu, his good friend, tells him later, hey, just so you know, your dad, you're the world to your dad. I'm going to get emotional because I get emotional in this drama. And of course he knows he's loved by his dad. But you don't see that emotion. Tech's dad never showed that. And I think to the end of the drama, you don't see that except for that scene. So kids, I want you to just be able to have that empathy that perhaps the meaning behind your parents' words is much deeper than that. They're not able to show that. Reflectively listen. Look at their faces. It's hard to look at their faces. It's also not cultural to be like staring at your parents, especially when you're angry. But look at them and perhaps you see tears behind their eyes. And then lastly, Startup, one of my favorites. And episode 8, Inje and Talmi's mom, right? You don't really like her too much. She leaves the dad or asks for a divorce because she doesn't really support his dream to be an entrepreneur. And meanwhile, she has 2 daughters who are becoming entrepreneurs. And there's a scene where the guy that she married, this rich guy, this mean stepfather, says, bring back Inje because she moved out of the house, and then you can come back and I can give you money and all that and take care of you because she liked this, she enjoyed the wealth. So she goes to have lunch with Inje and she sees actually Inje happy. She talks to her, what's been going on with your company? And Inje's like, no, I'm happy. I'm actually for the first time building my own company, not my stepdad's, not helping somebody else. And the mother sees this and she goes, yeah, no, I see that you're happy. So she refrains from telling Inje to go back to the dad. Basically the stepdad's like, I'll give you money, bring back my stepdaughter to live in the house. It's almost like a power control thing, right? Power play going on. And the mother does not say anything because she sees her daughter happy. That's also behind the scenes, folks, because you're like, what? I didn't even know she moved out. You see things happen behind the scenes, someone telling her, right, to do this, and she refrains to do it because she sees her daughter happy. This is a different perspective, but I want you to understand that at the end of the day, your parents want you to be happy. They don't always show that. They don't know how. They didn't really learn that. And the mom, though she was suffering financially, she could have used the money. She chose not to. I saw this as parental sacrifice. Now you see this, parents, you sacrifice, right? And you want that acknowledgement, but you don't always tell that to your kids, or your kids don't always see that. So kids, just see that. Again, that's big in our culture. It comes out very differently. Probably not in the way you want because we're more Americanized, or wherever country you're in, you want to be acculturated or assimilated into that host country. Understandable. But looking at the Mr. Sunshine example, where the grandfather just literally locks her up, and then Startup, where she was like, oh, I got to bring back my stepdaughter, but chooses not to say anything. Meanwhile, she's financially struggling. And then you have Reply 1988, Tech's dad, calm, cool, and collected, not showing his kid what he's really feeling. Wow. We don't see things, kids, what our parents are really grappling with. As a parent of 4 kids, I hide things too, and perhaps my spouse is the only one that really knows, and friends, perhaps, because I'm like, oh my God, yeah, I'm worried, sick. Oh, I hope they're doing well. Oh, I'm really missing them, but I don't really share that with my kids. So this is also a challenge, a call to action, parents, to get better at being able to express emotions more with your kids. They do need to see that. They do need to hear, I miss you, I love you, you're doing well, I'm a little worried. It's okay to say those things, but I understand it. And I understand that we're going to be like the Mr. Sunshine grandfather and do things behind the scenes. Startup, the mom does say, wrapping this up here, good, I see that you're happy. Great. And then in reply 1998, he's like, okay, keep doing well, keep doing well. He's trying to be calm because anxiety is contagious in the family. So he's trying to hold that emotion in because he was stressed out so he doesn't stress out his kid. What I'm trying to get at the end of the day, they're trying to do their best as parents for the sake of your happiness, kids. Whether you're 20 watching this or you're 50, I want you to understand what that's like. By the way, 2 different ways to communicate, the analog and digital. We're all digital these days, what you see is what you get. The analog is the old school. And I want to tell you that sometimes your parents may say something like, yeah, go ahead and die. Just what the grandfather said, but that's not what they mean. So you have to look at them or understand, reflectively listen. I know they don't mean that. Why would a parent want me to die, right? And they say that out of anger. Actually, most of the time they say that out of fear. Fear, worry, anxiety for your well-being. I'm just trying to point this out. So I'm talking to both angles parents too, because you see that, watch those episodes. Mr. Sunshine episode 2, Reply 1988, episode 13, and then Startup episode 8. Those scenes between parent and child, and understand that conflict that's going on, the cultural conflict, the meaning behind words, reflectively listen and understand there's more than that meets the eye.